I'm Meaghan Chitwood, and welcome to From Overlooked to Consistently Booked, where we have real conversations with real professionals. This month, I am joined by Dutch Kerr of Swipe for a Cause, and this week we are talking about why generosity builds pipelines, sales pipelines, faster than strategy alone. So, how have you used generosity to really build this business? I mean, we're going back to the first episode of what Swipe for a Cause does for hospice as an example, but how does generosity really play a role in and how you approach business?
As far as business, it's the idea of wanting to give.
Yeah.
It's not about money. It's not about sales. You have to have all those things, but it's not. It's not about that. That comes later. If you approach it as what can I give? What can I contribute to this right now? And I think that's the way generosity. If you approach your business as generosity, what more can I do to make this better? It's not just closing the deal. What can I do for you? What can I make? What's going on in your client's life? What's going on in your fellow BNI member's life? How can you make things better? And now, and you encourage that. You actually sometimes, in an odd way, you will get into a giving situation. I'll give you an example. So in our BNI, one of our members works with his church to help out and build habitats for people in another country. Well, we all found out about that. Everyone wanted to contribute. And they all, I don't think there was a person in our BNI who didn't want to contribute. No one was asked. It just all of a sudden people were just like, let me do this. Let me help. And here's the thing. The more success you have in business and the more generous you are, that's the measurement of your business. So if you can afford to be generous, you're doing well. That's how you should measure it. Not how much money you got in the bank account, but how much money you can give or how much time you can give. How much time you're supposed to have time, the more successful you get. Well, that's what they say. Sometimes it's not necessarily true. Sometimes the more successful you are, the less time you have. So if you can give your time, it's now real valuable. Now it's real generosity. Your time is valuable, which also is a measure of your success too. Yeah. So it all kind of ties in together, I think. And if you measure your success by how generous you can be, how much more you can give, I think that's a big factor of it.
Well, and we talked about it a little bit in previous episodes around customer service and checking in with your customers and giving them your time as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
To again be curious and all of that. Kind of just leads into...
the curiosity leads into generosity too. Yeah. Because if you're talking to your client and you know about them and you're asking them about something that they shared with you and they remember, they're like, wow, you remembered that, and they share more with you, you naturally want to help out. And then sometimes you're sharing things that you're giving them the opportunity to be generous to you too. That's another thing that people don't talk about so much. They talk about them being generous, but people want to be generous. People want to help. One of the things when I was younger, someone told me, I wish I could remember, I think it was my math teacher, I don't know. But he told me, when you need something, if you say to someone, can you help me? That person will want to help you. And you're giving that person the opportunity to help. And that's a gift. And I thought, what a strange, but I'm asking for help. How is that a gift? Well, it's a gift because you're giving them the opportunity to help you. And we all have a natural inclination in us, that we want to help. And so sometimes you might need something, and it's okay to ask for it and let somebody else be generous too. So it's okay.
Well, and it's interesting because I think some people find that asking for help is a sign of weakness.
Oh, no. I think you're right, though. And I'm sure actually before my math teacher back then or whoever it was said that, I probably felt the same way. But no, I don't think. I think it's a sign of strength. I think it's a sign of, there's a little generosity in that too, isn't it? Yeah. So no, I don't think it's a sign of weakness. I think it's a sign of strength. It's,
well, it's definitely a way to get things done faster.
Well,
because you can
sit
there and stew on it yourself.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And you can try and figure it out.
Or pretend you don't need something. But there's no problem. This is all good.
Yeah, that's going to keep you from the success you ultimately want.
That's right.
That you ultimately want.
And we all need help in something.
Yeah.
And you're giving somebody, and you know what? You're actually giving. It's a give and take. You're giving them the ability to help you, or you're able to help them, and they're receiving it. There's nothing worse than when you want to help someone and they're like, "Nah, I'm fine." No, you're not, man. You're falling apart. Let me help you out.
I can see it. I can see
it. This is not good,
I had never really thought about generosity, and giving generosity allows you to get generosity back.
Yeah.
I'd heard about it for reciprocity. That give reciprocity, get reciprocity. But you're right.
We all have needs. We all have things that we need. We all have things that go on in our life that are difficult. We can't, no man's an island. You can't do this on your own. You need other people.
Yeah.
And, some people are better at certain things than you are. And allow them to show you that. Allow them to help you out. And in return, they'll allow you to help them out. And, it's living. It's living. It's the right way to live,
I think that is part of a lot of, I think going into business, sometimes people feel like it's a zero-sum game.
I think so. And I think, unfortunately, that is kind of taught, or maybe it's a misperception of how things are taught. You always, it's a dog-eat-dog world, or, that business is cutthroat, or it doesn't have to be.
Well, I think you're proving it, because cutthroat business in the payment systems part.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
I think it's gotten a better reputation, but I do think it has been.
But no, there's a gift in that too, because if you're in an industry that's known for being a little cutthroat or that kind of thing, and you're not, how much more are you going to shine?
That's true.
If you're a generous person, generous to your competition. Hey, you're better at this part. Why don't you take this? That kind of thing, like we were talking about before. But if you're generous, then you're the diamond in your industry. Then, right? How much better are you going to look?
Well, and
if you didn't mean to be that, you know what I mean. It's not intentional. It's not intentional. It just kind of happens. But
and I always say, like, what is your special sauce? Can you name it so that then I can use it, right? Mm-hmm. Great example of yours, right? They donate a portion of their profits to hospice. I've had a hospice experience. That is something that would draw me towards your company for sure. And if I know somebody else who has a hospice experience, that's an easy conversation piece. But also sometimes it's you personally, and what your values are can be the thing that sets it apart.
That's
Jason
correct.
Sanders was a great example of that last month. He just turned it on its head, and you're saying the exact same thing.
Well, I think that another thing that I noticed in this industry, that is probably the biggest, more than anything, is the customer service, the ability to get in touch with someone.
Yeah.
Because in processing, you're in a 1-800 number, and you're in a call center, and you're in the middle of business, and things are going. And you can't even get someone on the phone. And to be available is a generous thing that you can do too. And that's one of the things that's a success right there of Swipe for a Cause, is you're getting someone on the phone right away who understands your problem. And if they don't have the answer, they're going to find out, and you can just go back to business. We're taking care of this,
Yeah.
There's, I'll give you an example. I had a jewelry store in Fall River, Massachusetts, and they were having an issue with something. And they were so frustrated. And when they came to Swipe for a Cause, it was somebody else who couldn't solve this problem. When they came to it, they couldn't believe that they could actually get someone on the phone, and help them out. So it's a big plus. But generosity is the core to business, and generosity is the core to it's the core to a community too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. This has been an awesome month of talking about what we like to call co-opetition, right? How do you collaborate with your competition? How do you collaborate with others? How do you be of value to others? And then today on generosity, I hope all of our listeners heard you loud and clear, because like you said, it's an amazing way to do business ultimately. Thank you for tuning in this week from Overlooked to Consistently Booked. This has been an amazing month of knowledge and sharing with Dutch and Swipe for a Cause about selling through service. If you like real conversations like this, please like and subscribe to the channel and drop a comment below on something you'd like to dig into next. And if you are interested in learning more about BNI and how it could be a resource for your business, visit northern.bnialabama.com or bni.com if you are outside of Northern Alabama.